Good afternoon, peeps. Guess what? Welcome to Flicks Talk. But this week, I'm not going to talk about movies this week. Maybe next week, but this one is just kind of like a news update. So it's a true crime show, a news update that happened like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, and then a week and a half ago, pretty much, from Philadelphia. But anyway, so since I am a true crime junkie, there are a few cases that I have watched on several shows that kind of stuck with me through the years. And this is one of them. And this one actually had a big tip, had a big revelation, let's say, a week and a half ago. So, and it's big news for Philadelphia, it's big news for the country, actually. And hopefully it can lead up to it from being unsolved to being solved. So that's awesome. I'm really excited about this one because I don't know, I got really excited. I was like, woo, yes, one step closer. Still not solved, but one step closer. So anyway, this is an old case though, and I think I first saw it on Unsolved Mysteries years ago. And I think there's a lot of stuff, a lot of videos on YouTube, so, on this case. But, back in February of 1957, a muskrat hunter was out checking his traps. And he came across a new item that was dumped in the area of one of his traps. And it was a box, a bassinet box. So what he did was, he looked inside of it. And what did he find? A body of a little boy. Naked body of a little boy wrapped up in a blanket. He got scared. He did not call the police over it because his traps were illegal, so he didn't want to get in trouble. A few days later, a car was passing by, saw a rabbit across the road. He stopped. I don't know if he was going to save the rabbit or if he was going to have like rabbit stew that night. I don't know. But he saw the box as well. And he looked inside. Saw the boy. He too got scared and did not report it until the next day. Guilty conscience got to him. And eventually that muskrat hunter did come forward after that other guy. But still. So that right there, after that guy, second guy, notified the police about what he found, that began the investigation. 65 years, people. 65 years. Took 65 years to have a big revelation in this case. Until all those years, though, it was unsolved. As I said, it is still unsolved. But a big revelation, as I said, came out a week and a half ago. So, this was pretty much known as the case of the boy in the box. In 57, the detectives, the police department, they did as much as they could to gather whatever information that they could, evidence at that time. They did footprints. I believe that they took hair samples because the police report said that the boy had a crudely haircut and some of the hair clippings was found with him. So, maybe, I don't know for sure. But I think they kept some hair clippings for evidence. 57, they didn't really do DNA testing. I don't think they took any DNA at that time. So they did what they could in 57. Many detectives from 57 till 2022 worked on the case. Many of them, of course, today, through the years, they have passed on. But I'm quite sure at that press conference that they held in Philadelphia a week and a half ago, their spirit, it was there. They were there. They had to be. Because this was a big case for Philadelphia. It's one of the oldest and like unsolved, still unsolved as I keep saying, but one of the oldest cases, unsolved cases that they have in the city. But anyway, tips came and went, and this, they kind of discounted some tips from these 65 years. So, but in 98, they exhumed the body. They got a court order, exhumed the body, because he was originally buried at a city cemetery in 57. So, and that tombstone read, Heavenly Father, bless this unknown boy, February 25th, 1957. So, in 1998, they exhumed the body, they took DNA samples, they kept some samples for later on, just in case, DNA always is evolving, technology is evolving all the time, so, but anyway, they reburied the boy, the unknown boy, at a different cemetery, and he is now buried at the Ivy Hill Cemetery in Philadelphia. His tombstone pretty much reads, still today, but that's one that I think that may change, America's Unknown Child, and it was dedicated in November of 1998, and it's like one of the first, I believe, graves you come to when you get into one of the entrances, I think the main entrance in that cemetery, as they said, and it's one of the most visited graves in Philadelphia, I believe. I would like to go and pay my respects to that unknown child. Anyway, so that happened in 98. All right, let's go to 2019. Court order once again. They exhumed the body again because they didn't have enough or sufficient enough DNA to do a certain test that they wanted to do at that time. So, exhume the body, take more DNA samples, get enough that they could actually do this testing, rebury him where he was. So, he's back where he was since 98. So, that was in 2019, and it took over 2 years. But there's a new way of solving cases now, a new tool that cops and detectives, police departments all over are using now. And I believe, don't know if this was the first case, but it was definitely a case that was solved by genetic genealogy, people. Genetic genealogy was used on this little boy. He is no longer unknown. He has a name. They identified him as of a week and a half ago. See, that gives me chills right now. I got chills. Because it's really exciting news. This boy, for 65 years, as soon as he was just dumped in that box, in that land, right by that road. As soon as he was dumped, he was unknown because they altered the way he looked. He didn't want to be, whoever killed him, which he was killed, it was a homicide. He was dumped like trash. They didn't want him to be identified. So he lost his name in 57 when he was dumped. He got his name back this year, and that's very exciting. You want to know his name? Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Joseph's got his name back, people. It is so exciting. And you want to know what the kicker is? This is how, well, let me tell you this first. The police, they got, they did the DNA testing. They got testing from his mom, or, maternal side and paternal side. His parents weren't even married. So he has, parents' side of the family, mother's side of the family. So he has siblings that are still living. Parents are both dead right now. But he comes from a prominent family. So this boy was probably well taken care of if he came from a prominent family. The police are very tight-lipped of which family it is due to respect of the living siblings. So the police wouldn't even answer a question at the press conference. Someone asked them about what were the family's reactions when they were told about, the identification, that they finally ID'd this boy in the box. The America's Unknown Child now has a name. And he would not even comment on that one. He said, no comment, can't, not going to talk about that. So I don't know if that meant a good way or in a bad way. But that kind of flung up a little red flag over my head. Like, he couldn't even answer that. Were they not excited or concerned or anything? Nothing. So, anyway, so this is what I highly suggest you guys do. The Golden State Killer was caught by Genetic Genealogy. That's one of the first ones. I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the first ones several years ago. We found out who he was. We found out Joseph's name, the boy in the box. No longer boy in the box, no longer unknown. Joseph Augustus Zarelli. And so this is what I highly recommend for you guys to do. If you ever get your DNA tested, you send it off, you get your own little family history just through your saliva, or that's probably the best way. I think some may actually require blood. But there's 3 sites: the CRI Genetics, the Ancestry DNA, and then 23andMe are the top 3. How they ID'd Mr. Joseph was by gedmatch.com. gedmatch.com. So, and that's, people upload their results. If you're going to get your DNA tested, upload your results. Because that's what, obviously, once one of his family members did. Or else he would still be unknown today. So, I'm going to do it. I don't know when, but I am going to get my DNA tested. I am going to upload my results, because you never know. Your DNA could solve a case, because you never know what your family may be up to. They could have secret lives. Nobody wants to think that their family member, whether it be cousin, uncles, parents, siblings, whatever, are killers, but you never know what kind of secret lives your family members may have. And of course, mostly it could be distant cousins or distant family members, So, you never know. Your DNA could solve a case. A lot of cold cases out there. Philadelphia said that they are going to use this technique to solve other cases, or hopefully solve other cases. Or, with Joseph, they don't know who killed him. They have their suspects being tight-lipped, of course. So hopefully, in the future, they will let us know if they find out exactly what happened. And the only clues that they had at the very beginning in 57 was the box and the blanket. The box he was in, the blanket he was wrapped in, were the only 2 clues that they had. Other than that, they didn't. They didn't know who he was. They didn't have any clues. So, hopefully they didn't talk about this, but with that muskrat trapper, obviously he set traps up, and he noticed that box one day. So maybe a few days before that day he noticed it first, it wasn't there. That could probably give the cops a timeline of when it wasn't there and when it was there. So that's just the day, the death date is the day that the boy was found. And his injuries, he was severely bruised. He had some lacerations. They asked, what was the cause of death? And he was like, obviously it was murder. He said it was a homicide. Blunt force trauma, I believe, is what the official cause is. So this little boy, he just turned 4 years old, because his birth date, when they found his birth certificate, was January 13th, 1953. So he had just turned 4. He was only 4, like a month. And then he was killed. Someone killed him. Don't know who. But he was beaten. And it's some of the pictures that they show online kind of recreated, because what he really looked like when they found him, he didn't look too pretty. So, anyway, I'm just really excited that he got his name back. He's identified. He's no longer America's Unknown Child. So they are going to replace that on his tombstone with his name. So that's really exciting news. And genetic genealogy helped at least identify him. Has not solved the case yet, but that right there, if you identify someone, that really does help. So it is now, after 65 years, it is a hot case right now in Philadelphia. So it's has been given life, and it took years. As I said, 2019 is when they got the DNA for the genetic testing, and it took them a few years to actually be able to use that DNA in a way where they could get to compare it to family members, the genealogy part of it. So they said that's how bad the DNA was, and they had to keep working with it to make it workable. So luckily, they did in a way, and they had enough, or it was just good enough where he was able to be identified. So 65 years, the boy in a box is no longer known as the boy in a box, no longer America's unknown child. He is identified. Joseph Augustus Zarelli, that is his name. Just 4 years old when he died. So sad. I hated that happened to that little boy. But anyway, stuff happens. But still, I'm really excited over this case, and I am going to be keeping up with it. So hopefully, when more information comes out, maybe I'll do another update one. I don't know. But there's a lot of videos on this right now. Since a week and a half ago, they actually had a press release identifying the boy in the box, identified Joseph. So I just thought, I'd do the same thing. Just a little short video. Because I remember seeing this on Unsolved Mysteries, and it was really sad. And I hate unsolved cases. And that one being 57, and now 2022, 65 years later, I'm glad that this boy he's got his name back. So that's one thing. So, and many cops, as I said, many detectives worked on the case from 57 till now, and of course the early ones in the early days are no longer with us. Some of them are no longer with us, but I'm quite sure that with what's happened in the past few years, and especially the past few weeks, that really helps, because every bit helps. Everything that they did, there's other information I could say, but the main thing is I just want to talk about him getting his name back, how he got his name back by, genealogy, DNA. I can't talk, y'all. No, anyway, but, anyway. By DNA testing, genetic genealogy, that's how you got his name back. And that's really good. And that's definitely going to be the future of crime solving and identifying people. So I think that the country's on the right track of identifying more and more people if they use that. Now all they need, though, is more and more people who get their DNA tested to upload the results. Because that right there, that's how they help solve, or at least identify and solve cases, or can potentially solve cases. So we got to do our part, and hoping the cops do their part to solve some cases, identify some of those unsolved cases, or unknown people who don't have a name. So Joseph got his name back after 65 years. That's awesome. So the boy in the box is no longer. Anyway, back to movies next week, or maybe in a few days. It's Christmas time, so how about if I do a Christmas movie video? And you know what? I probably will list my favorite Christmas movies, ones that I try to watch every year. And no, Christmas Story will not be on my list. Not that I hate that film, it's just they overplay it. So every year, 24/7 on Christmas Day. But anyway, so that's next week's plan, or in a few days' plan. Anyway, thanks for watching. And do your part. Try to help these police departments, solve cases. If you know anything, whether it be your DNA or not. If you see something, say something, as they say. So, if you see something, say something. You never know what the results could be. Be safe, have fun, be careful. Bye, guys.